Hello everyone and welcome to GPVWC for 2023. We are here at the Ottimo Enzo e Dino Ferrari and I'm absolutely stoked for this one. It has been so long. It's felt so long anyway. We've seen some fantastic action in the junior categories from Formula Sprint 2, Formula Sprint 1 and Super Lights. And now we're going to get the big guns out on the track, the brand new Super League cars actually. Look at these bad boys going past your screen right now, which you have not seen in action before. We're in practice now, just coming to the end of the practice session. And is that rain I see? I think I saw some drops of rain out there. It's certainly looking rather overcast. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. No rain? Okay, it kind of looked like it. Anyway, apologies. Yes, so my name is Caitlin Penny. If you have been watching GPVWC in the past, you will have seen me around. But if not, I have 5 years of sim racing experience, and all of that time has been spent in GPVWC. And alongside me, I have a man who apparently has 21 years of sim racing experience. Stephen, goodness me, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It's going to be quite exciting today. I've just seen the results from practice. The first 4 guys within a 10th. The rest of the field, top 23 within a second. So that's going to be quite close today in qualifying.
Indeed, well, it always is. In the broadcast room, as well as Szymon Frelik, he is going to be providing you with the cameras, the sites that you're seeing, and the stream that you're watching. Hello to everyone in the YouTube chat. This is only possible because of the broadcasters that worked behind the scenes to get GPVWC sim racing up and running. And the brand new intro that you saw at the start of the stream was also made by Szymon, and I must say it is probably my favorite intro that I've ever seen for a sim racing championship. So well done, Szymon. That was absolutely wonderful. We are just waiting for the start of the qualifying session. It won't be long now, and this will be our first real idea of what the pecking order will look like for the 2023 season. Of course, one thing to remind you of is that for the first race of the season, all of the cars are identical. All of the chassis are identical, the engines are identical as well. It's only as the season goes along that the cars begin to change in terms of the upgrades and the engine upgrades as well. And of course, they'll all be on the same engine life too, because they'll all have driven the same number of races, with that being a big fat 0. So right now, all that matters is the drivers, and it's later on that we start to see the variables, Stephen.
Yeah, I've seen that in action last year at the end of the season when I went in for MDR with a less developed car, and it was quite tricky with that. But now that everybody has the same car, the same engine, it's up for grabs.
Indeed it is. I've been putting together a little spreadsheet for myself of the new drivers and teams, and the returning as well. We have 4 new teams to Super League this season, with those being THR, Super Venturi, Rude Auto Concepts, and Nocturne. And we will be seeing all of those cars in action today, with their brand new liveries as well. I'm personally a big fan of the THR livery. I love how it looks on the wider GPVWC 2023 car, as opposed to the Formula Sprint 1 car that I've been used to seeing it on. There you see, that's a Holland Racing Team car going around the circuit underneath, and that appears to be Jannis Volburn, unless I'm very much mistaken. And Jannis himself getting a lot quicker, getting better all the time. His best result in GPWC is a 5th place finish, and that's that's an Adonis. My goodness, well, that's not a good start, is it? Looks a lot like a Holland Racing Team car with the bright orange. My apologies. Zoltschicks, or Zolt. I think the pronunciation guide, which I'll get up in a second, says to call him Zolt Such. A lovely pronunciation guide has been prepared by Scott Sovic for this race. So thank you very much, Scott, for that. But yes, and Such's best sim racing result with GPWC is actually, he's a brand new rookie. My apologies. So he is driving his very first GPWC race here today, and welcome in Zolt as we look now at Jan Grankvist, Stephen.
Yep, Giannis had an amazing season last year in Super Lights, so let's see how it's going today in Super League. It's quite a tricky circuit with all those anti-cuts on the chicanes. You cannot afford to cut them a single bit, otherwise they will punch you out into the gravel trap. This track has some gravel tracks in comparison to other circuits, so it punishes you, but so far the lap looks pretty clean. He stays within the track limits. Now Variante Alta, it's a very, very difficult corner. Let's see how he can run the curbs, or he's just flying over them. Way nicer than the FS2 car did last year. I remember it being quite a pain, but for these cars it's looking good. Now into the final 2 corners. Again, gravel trap right on the exit. He stays within the limits. The best time in practice has been 17.0, and he goes into P4 on a 17.3.
Indeed. So the first few times have been set now. Luke Maguire, top of the times in the THR, the brand new THR, with a 1:17.092. There is Andrea Catalani. We'll get onto him in a minute. And a returning champion for Adam Maguire. We'll get onto him in a minute as well. Jake Denahan currently second in the order. Robin Panzer is third, and then the rest of the field flying through on the first few laps. Adam Maguire dropped out of the championship last year after winning a race. He is back, and good to see him back racing for Nocturne. Has recently been signed for Roman Grosjean's esports team as well, and he is apparently the identical twin of Luke Maguire. So we have a pair of identical twins racing today in identical cars, although different liveries, so they don't appear identical. Luke Maguire currently top of the times, Adam Maguire currently 5th. And both of them clearly have inherited the same sim racing genes. Daniel Stepkowski there. On an outlap, his best result is a 2nd place finish, which he picked up not too long ago, actually. And he will be, well, not too long ago in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, it's been a while since we've been racing with Super League. But yes, if he goes one step quicker, of course, he'll find himself on the top of the top step of the podium. So definitely a driver to look out for this season. Maybe not for the overall championship, but for individual races, he could really throw a spanner in the works. We have just over 10 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. Now, one thing you might notice, which won't come as a surprise to you if you watched GPVWC last season, is that there are no other cars on track. They can only see themselves, and they can't interact with the other cars at all. And that is just in the interest of fairness. It's one of the only things it's one of the things you can only do in sim racing. Have 15 minutes of qualifying where absolutely none of the drivers can see any of the other drivers whatsoever, and yet they're all on track at the same time. It's the beauty of sim racing, and yes, it means you don't get traffic holding cars up, you don't get slipstream, you don't get any of that malarkey. You just get pure lap times delivered by the best of the drivers' abilities.
Yep. One thing also in GPVWC, no safety cars in the race. I've seen a lot of leagues doing safety cars, and I'm actually quite happy that GPV has decided not to run them, as we don't really need them in sim racing. And I think in other leagues they just ruin the flow of the race. But in here, everything's pure, as Stepkowski goes to 6th.
Indeed, and that of course means that qualifying matters a lot, because you don't have any, you have less attrition to bank on for a start. Here comes Tom Stevens. This should be a good lap. Across the line, goes 3rd, so it was a good lap indeed. THR have their drivers 1st and 3rd in the session so far, and those two will definitely be challenging for race results here this year. Jake Denahan still 2nd in the Edge Esports car, and there is Jake Denahan moving up and making a real impact on his first start in Super League. Sorry, he has done Super League before, but this is he's come directly from Formula Sprint 1 and definitely deserves to be here as well. His best GPWC Super League result is 5th so far, and he was the 2021 Formula Challenge champion back when it was still known as Formula Challenge and not Formula Sprint 2. And his lap time appears to be improving once again. His first and second sectors are strong. Geoffrey Fournier, meanwhile, fastest of anyone in the first sector, although loses slightly in the second. Here comes Denahan. This should put him pole for the time being. Across the line, there he goes. He's the first driver under 117. It is a 116.958. Jan Grankvist now goes to third as well. Great job from Jan. Geoffrey Fournier, you see, dropped 2/10 in the second sector, but could still improve. He does. So Geoffrey Fournier goes to 6th. Fastest in the third sector was Alessandro Quinte, who was only able to go 13th on his lap. Quinte, who very nearly won this race a year ago, but was taken out in the closing stages of the race. Adam Maguire, 2020 champion. Big twitch. You see the Irish clover leaf on his helmet there. Opens the DRS, but I'm not anticipating this lap to be... Oh, it is an improvement. Goes third. So he did pull out something in the third sector there. And the three now are Denahan, Maguire, and Maguire. Stephen, this is going to get confusing between Luke and Adam being on almost identical lap times there. Goodness.
I'm a little bit used to it. Two brothers being very close together. If you remember back to the early 2000s with the Schumachers fighting it out.
Yes.
And on some of the races, 2001 Canada, for example, brilliant battle. So let's see how those rivalries go on here tonight.
They really are like the Schumachers, actually. Second and third, just like the Schumachers used to be for the majority of 2002, 3, etc. Here is Christian Marchak. Sorry, of course, Michael Schumacher did win the championship both of those years, so it was more first and third, but I mean, they're always up near the top. Christian Marchak is on his... Actually, has done an outlap, but this is a significant improvement, judging by the first couple of sectors. Comes into the pits, so never mind that. Still plenty of time to go. 26 cars have set laps, by the way.
It seems like he wasn't happy with that lap. Or he didn't have enough fuel, but that would be interesting if he...
Well, the thing is, if you come towards the end of a... I think it was fuel related, because if you come towards the end of the lap and you think, right, with the fuel I've got a choice of completing this lap or coming into the pits and doing another lap, and then you look at the timer and you see that there's still 5 minutes to go. I mean, the track's probably going to get faster in those last 5 minutes. You kind of have to come in and then go out again, unless your lap is, you know, an absolute world beater. But anyway, Marchak, 25th for the time being of the 26 cars we have out on track. That's an improvement for Philip Pushke there, going up to P8. Not bad from the 2015 Super League champion. And Maguire's improving again. Look, this could be a challenge for pole. Jake Denahan still a 10th up. Never mind. Into the pits comes Luke Maguire, despite that being almost a 10th faster than his previous lap. And that's just what I'm saying. You have to come back into the pits in order to go out again and challenge for another lap, and if you don't make it back, you can't go again. So there's Moritz Kropp, P11 for the time being. And look at these beautiful new cars. They're lower than they were last year. They're more modern than they were last year. Possibly slightly less downforce because of the simplified front and rear wings, but that is okay. They have they've made it up in ground effect, which is the way that single-seaters should be making up for their aerodynamics nowadays. And they're based on the 2023 Formula 1 cars, whereas the previous Formula 1 cars, sorry, the previous GPWC cars were based on slightly older Formula 1 models from 2019, 20, etc. Here's Thomas Flock. Sorry,
I might be a little old school in that regard, but I'm not a big fan of the Formula 1 cars as they are now. I prefer the older ones, but they're looking very slick, very clean, the GPV cars. As we can see, Matthias Moos on a red Archer that looks a lot darker than last year's? Or is it just me?
And there is the brand new Mood Auto Concepts car being driven by David Vassman. I think this car looked great. I think that the GPVWC team have done a great job in keeping things fresh and entertaining, and bringing us this brand new car. Meanwhile, Tom Stevens has gone up to second in the order, so THR still both in the top 3 as they were earlier. Denahan first, Stevens second, Maguire third, and Maguire. That's Adam Maguire coming into the pits. I should specify it. It's Luke Maguire currently in third position. Here is Robin Panzer in the Adonis engineering car that looks annoyingly like a Holland Racing Team car, but of course, Holland Racing Team they're fielding Yannis Vorban and Pascal Pollens today, so those two drivers 17th and 19th in the order as it stands. Robin Panzer coming over from Burst Esports, who pulled out of the championship quite late. His best GPWC result is second place, so another driver looking for that one extra step to put himself in the history books as a GPWC race winner. That's a big twitch, and that'll be an abandoned lap there. Might just about get time to set another one. Depends on... even if he comes back to the pits, he might just get another chance. Daniel Stepkowski coming in, he will just about get one last chance himself, and was improving on that lap, so definitely has more to give. And that's a big twitch and a slight off there from Fabio Sixter.
Yeah, that chicane is so tricky. And the Alta, the curbs are so high. We could see it in real life last year with Charles Leclerc. As we can see a nice little drift from Philipp Puschke. He's pushing. But that's not gonna help your lap, as he's using every bit of track now into a very tricky chicane around here. I don't remember the name, unfortunately.
That would be the... where have we just been? So this is the Variante Alta, meaning the top chicane rather than the bottom chicane, which would be the Variante Bassa.
Yeah, he's just flying over the curb, really impressive, but you have to trust the car. You have to trust your setup. As he gets a little twitchy again, seems like he's not having the traction he wants. The sectors look good. Could it be? Yep, it's a top 5.
Very nice. Philipp Peschke is looking
fast.
feisty today, isn't he? Look at that.
Yep, you could really see it flying over the curbs. He really had to trust in the car that it would stick and not spit him out. So there has to be some great tricks in the setups to do that. As Fournier doesn't seem to improve. Maguire only 6/100ths down in the first sector. On the pole.
Indeed, and we're approaching the times when the drivers are going to be able to put in their final flying laps over the curbs, taking big chunks out of that suspension almost. Yeah, and Jan Grankvist sets the fastest first sector, so Grankvist on a flyer. Sorry, Stephen.
Yeah, he was taking a lot more on the entry, but a lot less on the exit, and now he's overdone it.
He's done a Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, but at least he didn't crash the car. As we can now see Grankvist, who has done, as you said, the purple first sector.
Grankvist on an absolute flyer in the Super Venturi car. Could this be the lap that he wants? He's got a few more corners to go in this one. And Super Venturi, of course, a brand new car to Super League. Imagine if they got they did Super Lights last year. They were second in that. They got several wins with Jan Grankvist. Out of the final corner he goes, approaching the line. His second sector slightly down on the best, and he goes across the line second. So Jan Grankvist within a 10th of a second of pole. Here comes Tom Stevens now. He could still challenge. His lap time's looking good. Not sure if it's quite... it might be good enough for pole, actually. It really does depend on the Ravazzas here. Here's Ravazza 1. Let's look how smooth Ravazza 2 is. That looks good. Uses a lot of the exit curb, but not too much of it. DRS open now. Is this pole for Tom Stevens, or will it go the way of Jake Denahan? It's Stevens by less than a 10th of a second. So Tom Stevens takes pole for the brand new THR team. It doesn't look as if anyone's going to be able to beat him, so it's Stevens first, Denahan second. Grankvist third. So all three of those drivers who have moved up from lower categories. Luke Maguire is fourth. Goodness me, it's a young guns feast today up in the pointy end of the field. Adam Maguire is the top former champion. He is P5, just ahead of Philip Pushke. What a day for Philip Pushke. That is significantly better than he qualified at any point last season. There are the top 6 that you see, and you see the top 10. So Robin Pansar, P7, then Alessandro Quinte, who goes well at this track. We know that. It's his home circuit. Jeffrey Fournier, P9. He's very popular. I've seen a lot of people cheering him on in the YouTube chat. Daniel Stepkowski is P10. And unfortunately, his team boss, Ryan Elliott, could not be here today. He was supposed to be in the commentary box with me, but of course, busy with something else. But I'm sure that he will be supporting Daniel Stepkowski from wherever he is right now. Here's the second page, Matthias Moose, P11. Then we've got Jakubek Alalu, 12th. Moritz Kropp, P13. David Fidok, we'll get onto him in a bit, but yes, bet you didn't expect to see him here today, P14. Tomasz Vok, P15, then Fabio Sixter, Pascal Polland, Chris Shepherd, Yanis Woolburn, and Sandeep Singh, who I didn't expect to be here today, actually. Florian Guy, P21, then Jolt Such and Fabian Sietzik. We have David Wasserman, Christian Marcharek, and Andrea Catalani, another rookie there in the 26th spot. Andrea Catalani, who I'm told is very good with a remote-controlled racing car. It's come from remote-controlled racing car on a European level. Interesting stuff. So those are our 26 drivers and 13 new teams, or 13 teams, for today's racing. And Stephen, what a qualifying session. The top 3 separated by just over a tenth of a second. And I don't know if it's quite anyone's game, because you definitely saw a trend with the drivers who were at the front, having been successful in the past. But I mean, there are a lot of drivers who could challenge, maybe 7 or 8 drivers who could win this race today.
Yep, not only that, but we had 22 drivers within a second, which is very, very impressive. Now in terms of race pace, it's pretty much a game of who can look after the tires the best. I'm kind of split if we are going to see a 1 or a 2-stepper today. I mean, these guys are at the top of the game, so they could stretch it to a 1-stopper. They have 63 laps. I expect the 1-stoppers to be pitting around lap 20 to 25. If they come in significantly earlier, they will be on a 2-stopper, at least when they are starting on the softs. If they're starting on the hards, I expect them around lap, I'd say 40-ish, 40 to 43.
Indeed. Well, one thing to remember about that is that we were all caught off guard last year, because most of the drivers went for a 2-stop strategy, and then Liam Duval in the late stages came out of nowhere with a 1-stopper and held on to win. And I was embarrassed about it for the rest of the year, because I did not see it coming. And it with well, I'm sure a lot of other people didn't see it coming either, because otherwise they might have covered it off. But whatever the case, it looks as if the tyres this year are going off at a similar rate to last year's tyres. There hasn't been any major changes on that front, and I think that means that we should be seeing a similar sort of race, with drivers maybe taking it easily, maybe taking it cautiously on a 2-stopper, but with a 1-stopper being a possibility. Of course, 3-stoppers are also a possibility, but unlikely. And I think you would have to be very confident in your speed and overtaking ability if you were going to go for a 3-stop strategy. So you probably shouldn't be banking on one of those taking place up front. Yeah. But anyway, this will be a strategic race, I think.
Yeah. The question is, what is more dangerous? The 1-stopper where you don't have to overtake as much, or the 2-stopper where you have to overtake a few guys? As this track has the start-finish straight as the main overtaking opportunity, but if the other guy is using way less downforce than you are, for example, overtaking can be very, very tricky around that track. And into the chat, yes, Mateus, I was racing for MDR last year. for the final 4 rounds.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I was in that chaotic Singapore wet race where the survivors got some points. I remember having one of the less favorable moments of my sim racing career as I spun at one slicks in the wet pit lane. That was pretty
I remember
embarrassing.
that.
Yeah, pretty
Ah,
embarrassing. But yeah, it happens.
it
Now I
does
can laugh
indeed.
about it.
See, I remember you more from that than I do from you doing FS2 because you were so quick I barely even saw you. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about the FS2 season. It was not the best, and I was happy when it was over.
You did an awesome job last season. I know it. I mean, I know you didn't win it, but you were very quick.
Yeah, Lady Luck wasn't on my side last year, but that's racing. You cannot always have luck.
Indeed, that's how it works. Anyway, let's talk about some of the headlines for this race then, since we've got a little bit of time before the race actually starts. We have so the champions are missing. That's the first thing we should bring up. I know we spoke about this a bit in the pre-season testing show, although if you did miss that, Evolution have pulled out quite late, and therefore their drivers, Leon and Yannick Bock, are not going to be racing with us this year. And it's a shame because it does mean that there's going to be no defending champion, although of course it does mean that someone new can come in and take the crown. Yeah, shame to see them pulling out, but it does mean that we get more new teams on the grid this year, including, of course, the brand new team that's going to be starting right at the front, THR, with cars in both of their cars right up at the pointy end of the field. Another headline that I've only just found out about recently is that David Fiduk is back, and David, who announced his retirement at the British Grand Prix round of last season, has decided that he misses the GPWC paddock, and obviously he's got the racing bug a bit, so he's managed to find himself a seat and return for the 2023 season. Qualified, I think, 14th for this race. He was around or about that point on the grid, so we'll see that in due time. In terms of former winners and champions on this grid, we have a few. Stefan Rohr, of course, the 2021 champion, 5 wins to his name, and he is racing today, although didn't have the best of qualifying, so I was expecting slightly better for him. Sorry, Royalt is not here today. Never mind. My apologies. I saw him on the entry list. That's weird. Okay. Pascal Pollens is on the grid. He, of course, won in Mexico last year. Mateus Moose has 2 victories from the end of last year. Actually, Mateus Moose is a driver who had a bit of a burst of speed in the last few rounds, and if he can keep that up, then he could be a contender this year as well. Fabio Sixter has 4 wins to his name, although unfortunately a lot of retirements to his name as well. And with Fabio, it's always a race to get to the end with his internet provider, or whatever's going wrong on his end of things. Jeffrey Fournier won the season opener a few years ago, 2018 Australian Grand Prix that was. And with this being a season opener as well, he qualified decently well. I think he was 9th on the grid today. David Fiduk, of course, we've just been talking about him, 10 victories to his name, the 2014 and 2016 champion, whose career kind of mirrors Philip Pushke, who also has 10 victories and was the 2015 champion. That was the one that got away for David Fiduk, who you see on your screen right now. Florian Gaia has 4 wins to his name, although not for a while, unfortunately. He's been chasing success since then. And then Adam Maguire has 5 victories and was the 2020 GPVWC Super League champion. So we have 3 champions on the grid today, as opposed to the 4 that I thought we had. So apologies about some of the information that I don't have just there. But yes, 3 former champions on the grid today. You've got to say, I think Adam Maguire is looking to be the most competitive of those today. And judging by the pace in qualifying, we should really be looking for the rookies.
Yeah, but as you could see, the qualifying was so close. If you make the slightest of mistakes, you lose about 3 to 5 positions. So we don't really know yet who's fast in the race and who's not. The final chicane, Variante Alta, you can easily lose 2/10 there. So in about 3 minutes, the race will start and we will find out who has a race setup with some good tire wear and who has got a quali setup.
Indeed. Just a couple of minutes to go now. This is getting very, very exciting. Tom Stevens, remember, on pole position for THR alongside the Edge Esports driver Jake Dennehan. For either of those, it would be their first victory today if they were to pull it off. And Jan Grankvist and Luke Maguire behind, also without GPVWC Super League victories to their names, although all 4 of those drivers who I've mentioned have victories at slightly lower levels, still very competitive levels of the GPVWC career ladder. Adam Maguire is the top driver who has won before. He is currently 5th in qualifying. Philip Pushke directly behind him. And actually, Pushke was only 1,000th of a second off Adam Maguire in qualifying. So it's less straightforward as what I was just suggesting there, where I was suggesting that Adam was significantly more competitive today than either of the other former champions. Adam and Philip are both looking very, very strong in this one. And both of those stand a very good chance of winning this race as well. They'll need to make overtakes, they'll need to possibly get slightly lucky, but it's not unheard of. And Leon Duval last year, of course, won this race from something like 8th on the grid. I mean, if that was to happen again today, it would be Alessandro Quinte standing on the top step of the grid. And I'm sure that he will be eyeing up at least a podium today as well. The checkered flag comes out on this warm-up session. We are just moments away now from the start of the formation lap, where you'll see the grid of cars once again. Goodness me, sorry, that's the Holland Racing Team car. That car looks very nearly identical to the Adonis. That is annoying. Don't you think, Stephen? It's the Adonis, surely?
Yeah, they're looking quite similar. I guess Holland Racing Team won't change the colors. The typical orange for the Holland guys from the Netherlands. I don't expect them to change the color to pink, for example.
No, it's a... Yeah, but then again, Adonis is also a Dutch team. It is a slightly more papaya color on the Adonis car, but even so, that's going to be a little confusing today, I'd say.
Yeah, I had here. I have watched the FS1 race last week, and there was a car that looked pretty much identical to our car, the Wetvan Racing car in FS2. At least those 2 cars are in 2 different leagues.
Yeah.
But if they were on the same grid, it would have been very, very difficult to get those 2 apart.
As we are about to see with Adonis and HRT, but you know, these things happen sometimes. Anyway, good to see you guys all in the YouTube chat. Plenty of names that I recognise. Owen saying Holland have a bit of chrome on the engine cover, don't they? Yes, they do, and a good thing too, because the Adonis doesn't. Indeed. We've got Vincent Gutt saying, I just wanted to ask where the 2023 Epic livery is. Okay, so Epic yet to reveal their livery for this round, at least the livery that's going to be seen on the cars on a more regular basis. They still have their testing livery on that car. And hello, Ross. And oh, look at that, we have our Super Lights winner, Owen McGorgy here. Congratulations, Owen. That was a very good race. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see much of it, but I'm sure it felt very, very special. I've been corrected. My apologies. Owen pointing out that what I said was an Irish clover on the helmet of Adam Maguire's car earlier is actually a Shamrock. Of course it is, because Ireland. Yeah. Yes, my apologies. Thanks for correcting me. How are you feeling for this one, Stephen?
I'm feeling great. I'm just waiting. I guess the briefing is going on. The little briefing before the race is now going on. And then we shall see the season opener. The testing is over. Now we can see the real pace, as it seems like we're jumping into the next session. Oh, I'm not sure. It's still in warm-up, it seems. It's going to be interesting.
There we go.
The starting tires are going to be quite interesting for the cars outside the top 10. As we have to wait a bit. The server usually takes about a minute or two until all the tires are finally revealed. That's going to be quite interesting for the top 10 guys. It's the top 10 guys again who have to start on the softs, right? On the qualifier.
Yes. So unless there's been any changes that people haven't told me about, the top 10 drivers at least have to start on the tires that they qualified on, the tire compound that they qualified on. They don't actually have to start on worn tires, luckily, like they might do in real life. And then the rest of the grid have a free choice just to keep it a little bit interesting. So 11th place is a crucial place on the grid to look for, because that is the top driver with free choice, and usually they end up starting on a harder compound of tire, just so that they're doing something different from the cars ahead of them, and they might get held up a little bit less at the start. Completely up to them though. They could still go for their quali tire. It really doesn't matter from a legal point of view, but in terms of the race, it's a crucial choice to make.
Yeah, and the more cars go into the harder tires, on the medium or the hard, the more dangerous the two-stopper becomes, as you have to overtake those guys at the beginning of your second stint. The top 10, as we said, will start on the soft compound tires. Let's see. It usually takes a bit.
Okay. Let's take a look at our starting order for today. And you'll see the full grid of liveries as it scrolls past you on your screen. Tom Stevens takes THR's first pole position in their first Super League race. Jake Dennehan is second, and then it'll be Jan Grankvist and Luke Maguire. Look at that, a very young front four places. Adam Maguire, former champion, P5, followed by another former champ, Philip Pushke. And then it's Robin Panzer and Alessandro Quinte, who ran so strongly here last year. Jeffrey Fournier is P9, followed by Daniel Stepkowski, Matthias Moos, and Jukka Pekka Lalu, JP Lalu, in 12th position there, the brand new Super Venturi. Moritz Kropp, P13, David Fidok, P14. I was right with P14, jolly good. Thomas Vok is P15, then it is Fabio Sixter, 16. Sixter, 16. Pascal Pollens, P17. Chris Shepherd, P18. Yanis Fulburn, P19. And Sandeep Singh, P20. Jolt Such is P21, and then it's Fabian Schiertzik, P22, David Wasserman and Christian Malczarek. And the final two rows of the grid will be made up by Andrea Catalani and Florian Gaia. So Gaia must have had a penalty there, which has dropped him further down the order. So Gaia in the brand new Rude Autosports concept car, starting from the back. There are your 26 drivers approaching the start out. And this is getting very tense. GPVWC for 2023 is so nearly underway. It's already underway with the junior categories. I should amend what I just said. But GPVWC Super League, the big guns, are about to get underway, Stephen.
Yeah, and as we can see, we have a few medium tire runners. Only one single hard runner, from what we can see.
And that is David Fidok.
Yeah, that's gonna be quite dangerous for the two-stoppers. Let's see.
Indeed it is. I think Catalani might be on hard tyres. I didn't see why it didn't show up on our screen, but on my screen it looks as if Catalani's on the hard tyres further back. Anyway, wait till you see the 5 red lights it is, by the looks of things, sorry, 5 red lights. And when they go out, we will be underway for GPVWC Super League in 2023 for the very first time. 4 lights, 5 lights, and go! We are underway in 2023, and that's a good start for Denahan. Denahan is already alongside Luke Maguire, heading down towards turn 1, Tom Stevens rather. Luke Maguire side by side with his brother further back, Jan Grangfist P3, and through turn 1, Jake Denahan has the lead. So Denahan will lead for Edge Esports, and all 26 drivers make it through the first few corners, the first chicane, pointing the right direction. That is always good to see. It's Denahan, Stevens, Grankfist, and then the 2 Maguires, with Jeffrey Fournier already up 3 positions from 9th on the grid, pushing Pushke a little bit wide, and Quinte's up a place as well. Now we head up towards the Piratella, side by side between, that's close, Pushke and Quinte. That's where Quinte had his accident last season. Down through the Aqua Minerale, up towards the Variante Bassa for the very first time. 63 laps in total this race will be. And on the first lap, I believe it's clean still. So we're through the first couple of sectors. Now down towards Ravazza for the first time. 0.3 of a second separating Jake Denahan and Tom Stevens. The lead has changed on the very first lap, Stephen.
Yep, very, very clean from all the drivers. It's very, very close usually in the first 3 corners on this track, so amazing work by everyone. It's been a little bit hairy for the lead.
Here it comes. Tom Stevens is going for it again. He has the slipstream. No DRS just yet, though. That comes later. He backs out of it. So still, it is Jake Denahan in the lead. There's Moritz Kropp further back in a battle with Chris Shepherd. I'm trying to get my camera to enable, actually, so something's... and off. Someone's off. David Fidok's been involved. And to the back of the grid drops Christian Malczarek, potentially. It's Fabian Schiertzik. So Fabian Schiertzik was the car that was involved. Malczarek has just gone through. And clearly there was some kind of contact there in the pack. But no lost wings or anything by the looks of things. I think Schiertzik still had it. Back to the front, Tom Stevens now. I think he's just got to wait till the DRS becomes enabled, because the DRS is coming soon, and it can't be long before the DRS starts to affect this race as well, starts to affect the order.
Yeah, we could see it on the first lap. Tom Stevens was gaining quite a bit of time on the start-finish straight. Let's see how he's going to gain now. Again, he's closing in quite a bit, so with the help of DRS it will be possible for him to overtake. As we can see, Moose side by side into turn 1, got past Robin Panzer. So it seems like the Wood Archer has some great straight line speed.
Indeed.
Further back, we can see the first medium runner on P12, Lalu.
Slight contact between Grankfist there and Maguire. Maguire got alongside him on the exit and actually touched the rear left wheel of Jan Grankfist's car. They both stayed pointing the same direction now, but Luke Maguire with the first real signal of intent in this race now. And this is a difficult circuit to overtake on. There's only one DRS zone here, and it's only active for the first time this particular time around. Keep your eyes on this fight, I'd say. We've got Stevens within half a second of the... within half a second of the leader, Jake Denahan, as we go on to another lap. DRS is available for the very first time now. Stevens has it open. It's a rather weird looking little DRS flap on this slightly altered rear wing from last season. And up the inside, very nearly, but we have got to move further back. Tom Stevens, Luke Maguire goes past Jan Grankfist now. So Luke Maguire, almost running into the back of his teammate, makes a move on Jan Grankfist, who's now under pressure from Adam Maguire. Adam Maguire all over the back of Jan Grankfist's car. Little bit of a twitch from Adam. Now we go into the Tosa, and this is where there was a little kerfuffle between Grankvist and Maguire a lap ago. Grankvist with a much better run up towards Piratella, sticks his nose up the inside. That's where it's not wanted. There's contact again, and they get away with it again. But here comes Adam Maguire now, going through. So it's Maguire third and fourth, with Luke ahead of Adam, and Grankvist is muscled out of 2 places in 1 lap.
Yeah, it's usually quite tricky to go side by side through that turn, even with these wide cars. It's not really made for racing that close there, but I think this lap we are going to see a lead change, as Tom Stevens is very, very close to Jack Danahan.
Well, here we go. So he was close last lap. He took a look a lap ago, and with the DRS wide open and the slightly lesser drag than we had last season, Stevens is going to steam through. Goodness me. And he makes the move before the corner. That was like watching a locomotive. Tom Stevens ahead of Jake Danahan now for the first time since the first few meters of this race. Pushke has got back past, well, he was fighting with Fournier further back, wasn't he? Lally now fighting with Krop as well. There was a move a little bit further down the order. It was Moose attacking Quinte, so Moose has now got up into 8th position as it stands. A little bit of gravel kicked up on the extra Villeneuve. Sorry, Stephen.
Lalo has fallen back a few places, so the top 13 are now covered by soft compound drivers, so it seems to be a very good starting tire, the soft. Let's see how long they will be able to get this. As I said, lap 20 to 25 should be the pit window for the one-stopper. If they come in earlier, it will be tricky.
Yeah, there's a big difference between the softs and the mediums by the looks of it. Much bigger than there was last year. I'm going to have a look back quickly at what happened between Shirtik and Fidok, because that's the only incident that we've seen so far in the race, and a good thing too. It's been very clean. Very impressed by these drivers, but yes, it looks like a typical racing incident with the cars just locking wheels in the middle of the chicane, and that kind of thing very much happens at a track such as Imola. Adam Maguire now getting closer to Luke Maguire, and when are we going to start to see the first brotherly sparks going down out on the circuit? Sibling rivalries are powerful. I know myself. I've got a brother. And we both race, and we both raced each other very hard in the past. And Luke and Adam, I'm sure, have a similar sort of sibling rivalry, albeit a respectful one. There is Daniel Stepkovsky, running in 9th position for Powered by RSR, cheered on somewhere by Ryan Elliott. Whether he's actually watching right now or not, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Adam will have quite a task, as the THR guys have quite a low drag setup, and you could see it on the last lap. He was right in the slipstream. He wasn't lifting, but he wasn't gaining a single centimeter at the end of the straight, so that will be quite tricky for him, I guess.
And while we said that the cars are identical, we of course don't mean literally identical. They do, I mean, obviously you've got different liveries, but also they have different setups, and that's down to the teams and the drivers, mainly the drivers actually. Jet Danahan gaining slightly on Stevens in the straight line. We're watching the Maguires, and a good thing too, because it looks if they did get closer. Adam backed out of it before the braking zone, and well, I don't think he lost anything because of that. I think he wouldn't be able to make it.
That looked like quite a bit of push to pass for Adam Maguire.
Yes, that's another thing, isn't it? Push to pass. I'm always hesitant to mention push to pass because we can't actually see when it's being used, and it's difficult to tell who's got it and who hasn't. But that is a thing that the drivers have. They all have a certain amount of push to pass over the course of the race, and there is a good chance that they were using it at that point in time. The trouble, of course, is that if one car uses it to defend from another one, and then the other car is using the push to pass to attack, it's kind of a bit of a stalemate. But anyway, I'm sure these drivers know what they're doing with it.
I don't have the number of seconds in my head for this year. I know last year it was 10 seconds per lap. I don't know if it changed for this year, but last year it was pretty powerful, so you can see if somebody's using it.
10 seconds per lap, was it? Okay.
Yeah, last year it was 10 seconds per lap. I don't know how it's this year. I know
100
it's
seconds
100
per
seconds
race,
per
being
race.
told.
So
Okay, so yeah, see, that's what I thought it was last year. I must have been misled. I thought you had a certain amount over the race rather than a certain amount per lap. So that's really novel, actually. It was like the old curse system from Formula One.
even less. Curse was 7 seconds per lap. Now it's about less than 2 seconds. So now it's a real push to pass.
Yeah, that's good. I
So,
like it.
yeah, Adam McGuire was using some a few laps ago, and if you only have 100 seconds per race, it's going to be quite painful if you use it, but it's not getting you anywhere.
Yeah, you got to conserve that. Very nice. Just adds an extra level of strategy into a race that's already going to be pretty strategic. And talking of strategy, we'll only have to wait a few. Well, it's not going to be imminent, but we're going to have to wait maybe 10 more laps to start seeing the first pitters, and that will fly past, and they'll be diving in before you know it. Jake Dennehan and Tom Stevens. Okay, so Jake's in a bit of a sandwich here with Luke Maguire less than half a second, or less than 7/10 of a second behind him heading onto the straight. Jake himself is about 4/10 behind Tom Stevens going down the start-finish straight this time. And we've seen from previous laps that that's not close enough to make a move. He's going to have to be maybe 2/10 of a second behind Tom Stevens going onto the straight for it to be a real threat. 4/10 of a second just won't do it. The other way around, though, Tom Stevens was able to stick to the back of Jake Dennehan through that final corner, and that's how he was able to make that move. It appears that Stevens has a slightly less draggy car, but we can't tell for sure, of course. It really does depend on the setups, and visibly the cars are very similar. I keep thinking Maguire's running less of a rear wing than the THRs, but I don't think that's true. I think it's just that the way the Nocturne logo is written across the rear wing, it kind of makes it look as if the car has less of a rear wing than the THR does, but I don't think it does at all. I think it's just a visual illusion there.
Yeah, and it usually doesn't show which wings the drivers really use. From the Top Guns, it seems like the THR guys are using less downforce than the other guys, as Tom Stevens was putting in Jake Dennehan under a lot of pressure all the time. So either he's pressed the button all the time, which I don't really expect, or he has less wings, as you can see Jake Dennehan not gaining as much as Tom Stevens was a few laps ago. The top 10 are still a single DRS train, so it's pretty much useless for P3 to P10 because everybody has the same, everybody has DRS, but the field spread in general is very, very little. So if we look at P13, Lalu, who's the first on the medium runners, he's only 8 seconds off the lead. So when all the guys ahead of him are pitting, he's gonna be in the lead quite comfortably.
Yellow's out there somewhere. Doesn't appear to be in the top of the order. That's the first time I've seen yellow flags today. That's how well they've been doing. I mean, I saw them in practice and all, but yeah, that's the first time I've seen them in the race.
Yeah, I think it has been Catalini. He's been 5.6 seconds off in the first sector. So I guess he's had a little whoopsie.
Okay, yeah, it might well have been. Catalani currently running at the back of the order, but still has his wings attached, which is the most important thing on your GPVWC debut. Is Dennehan once again not quite close enough to the leaders. Further back though, looks as if, oh look at that, we've got cars in the pits already. Walk and Shepherd, that's very early.
That's
So,
going to be at least 2 stops. Only 10 laps on the first set of softs. They're now going on to the hards, so maybe they're going to do a soft, hard strat. But
those
that's
softs didn't
very
last
early.
long, yeah. So, Walk and Shepherd there, we'll keep an eye on them and see what their plan is. But yes, hard tyres shows that they're intending to run for a while now. So if it was mediums, as he's under attack and on the pit exit there, and that's Christian Marek he's fighting, But yes, if it was mediums, I would be considering whether they're planning to go for a 3-stop strategy potentially. But I don't think they are. I think it's just that they're not anticipating the soft tyres to be worth it. Maybe they're expecting them to drop off, or maybe they have already dropped off. Anyway, back to the head of the order. Jake Dinahan on the back of Tom Stevens still. And a lot closer than he was. Look at that. That was a very good exit to that corner. He's got the DRS. This could be a real chance for Jake Dinahan. And just as Tom Stevens did to him earlier on, Jake Dinahan is going to, well, not quite sail through. Tom is still very close heading towards the corner, but there has been a change. So Jake Dinahan retakes the lead of the race in exactly the same way that Tom Stevens did to him earlier on. And that keeps it very interesting. It looks as if it's going to be a back and forth scrap between them. And you see the order change because there's more cars in the pits. Also, Fabio Sixter's just had a grassy excursion in the S's. Both of the Holland Racing Team cars got past him.
Yeah,
But yes.
One thing you can clearly see, Lalo in P11, who started on the medium tires, has closed the gap to the leaders by a few seconds now. So it seems like the medium tires work way better now. And maybe up front, Jake Danahan has got some better tire wear with the extra downforce he seems to carry. Lower downforce means that you slide a bit more in the corners, and that could technically kill the tires if you don't look after them as much. But it's going to be very hard for Jake to stay ahead, I think. Tom has it way easier with the DRS as he's got more straight line speed in general, but I think for this lap he should be safe.
Catalani's just crashed, I'm afraid. He will not finish his GPVWC debut. He's been struggling to hang on to that car for a while, and unfortunately it's all over for Andrea Catalani. Anyway, he's got plenty of time to practice for the next race, hopefully get more comfortable in that car. Meanwhile, Janis Volburn and Matthias Moos into the pits. So this is the first pit window for sure. This isn't a fluke that we saw a few cars in just a few minutes ago. And potentially that means that we have more tyre wear this year than we had last year, because I don't see this would have happened a year ago. Goodness me, sorry, I've just seen that the top 4 cars were separated by less than a second across the start-finish line that time around. There's still a big chain of cars. It's got to be back to 7th place, the DRS train. Great stuff. Anyway, there is Matthias Moos having exited the pit lane.
Yeah. Maybe the tire wear is not that much higher than last year. Maybe the tire drop could be the big factor.
The tire what, sorry?
The tire wear doesn't necessarily have to be more. Maybe the tire drop per percent.
Tire drop, okay.
I don't know. Maybe Mr. McGorgy can inform us a little bit. These tires should be quite similar to the Superlight tires.
Okay, Grankvist in. So Jan Grankvist making his stop, and presumably going on to hards as well. Those look like mediums, so Grankvist going for a different strategy entirely, throwing us all off guard. Jolly good.
Yeah.
Keeps things exciting.
Yeah, one reason for the guys pitting earlier than the Superlight guys could also be that the Super League cars have to drive a longer race, so they are a bit heavier.
True. That's very true.
At the start of the race, and
very good point.
That extra fuel kills the tires. As we can see, Grankvist getting very close to Moose.
Moose goes off the road. That was very similar, actually, to what happened to who was the other? I believe it was his teammate, actually. No, sorry, it was Fabio Sixter. So it was very similar to what happened to Sixter a couple of laps ago, just with a Holland Racing Team car. That there, Jan Grankvist coming together nearly with Matthias Moos. Moos having to cut through the grass to avoid going for a spin or spinning out Jan Grankvist. And as a result has dropped back a few seconds. But anyway, no significant harm done. And Pushka's just past 40 in the final corner, as into the pits now comes Luke Maguire.
And Tom Stevens is getting back to lead.
Both Maguires came in. And there's the change for the lead. Yeah, sorry there. So Tom Stevens does go back through. Again, it's into turn 1. Goodness, all changed there. Both Maguires came in, as did Geoffrey Fournier, and Fournier actually made a mistake in the final corner and let Pushke through before that happened. So yes, plenty going on at this stage in the race. Fournier has gone on to medium tyres, and the Maguires. What tyres for the Maguires? It's hard in both cases. So some alternate strategies taking place, and Fournier might find himself being held up behind them on track. Maybe he was expecting them to go for mediums as well.
But I think it's too early to go to the end of the race now. So
Yeah, for sure.
they might be going on to a set of mediums or even softs at the end of the race, as the softs or mediums should have way better wear with a way lighter car.
I wonder if
But
anyone's
for
going to
now-
complete a rare trinity using the soft, medium, and hard tyre. It's an unusual thing to do. Not many people go for that strategy, but you can do it.
Yeah.
Into the pits, Tom Stevens now. So Jake Dennehan's lead is safe for the time being, and
Yeah.
Pushke comes into.
And the dangerous person I told you about, Lalo, he's been gaining more time on them. He's now only 5 seconds behind Danahan, who was right behind Tom Stevens. So the medium tire seems to be very good in the hands of Lalo.
Yeah.
Also Krop being right behind him. In between we have Robin Panzer on the softs.
It was always Lalu who found himself. Oh, oh goodness, that was very tight on the exit. They nearly went 3 wide with cars rejoining, and Stevens is twitching about, but he's just ahead of his teammate Maguire there, and they are just ahead of Adam Maguire. So the 3 cars that were fighting earlier have stayed together, but they are now in very heavy traffic just behind Daniel Stepkowski. Now Stepkowski pitted earlier, so Stepkowski's jumped these guys. Look at that, Daniel Stepkowski. Massively gaining in all of that. The undercut, very, very important. Up the inside of Flo Gaia, through he goes. Stevens follows him through. But yeah, Stepkowski could now be a dark horse in this race as well, if he can keep those tyres, because he has jumped some real heavy hitters. Oh, big twitch! Oh, good save! Good save there from Luke Maguire, who stops the car from spinning completely out of control. He's lost a place to Adam Maguire, lost a place to Geoffrey Fournier as well. But yes, that could have been way, way worse as his car went completely out of control. Pascal Pollins into the pits. And I'm going to take a look back at that because that was spectacular. Was that Flo Gaia off the road? Yes, that was Gaia. So Gaia goes through the gravel and rejoins. Whoa, loads of cars in the pits. We got Wasserman in as well.
And by the way, Jake Danahan up front has continued on, so he might be on a different strategy compared to the others.
And just after I was talking about the undercut as well, could he be vulnerable now? I mean, definitely he could be.
Yeah, the more time Tom Stevens and co are losing in the midfield.
Oh, sorry, Maguire. Adam just ran through the gravel, so Luke Maguire's gone through again. Goodness me. Both of them making mistakes. In the background, that's Moose and Pushke side by side. Pushke having just come out of the pits. But yeah, Maguire just made a mistake and let Luke Maguire back through, with those positions having swapped just a lap ago. Dennehan now leads by 3 seconds, and he'll pit now. So Jake Dennehan in. Does Quinte go through and lead the race? Yes, he does. So Quinte staying out on his soft tyres, one of the last drivers out on soft tyres as it is. And this is a very important pit exit. Where does Dennehan come out in relation to that massive gaggle of cars that we saw going through just now?
With the mistakes, he could still be in front. I expect him to be quite far back on Stevens. Let's wait and see, but lap 17.
Oh, Stevens is ahead of Stepkowski, so Stevens has got through, and now he goes through on Dennehan. Stepkowski through as well, and that is Fournier. So, well, the net order is going to be anyone's guess. This is a very strategic race, but Dennehan has lost a few positions there with Tom Stevens, and Grankvist is ahead of Stevens. So could Grankvist be theoretically leading this race? Grankvist is the fastest driver out there right now. His best lap, a 1:21.0, is the best lap of the race. And what do you think, Stephen? Do you think that's a strategic masterclass for Jan, or has he come in too early? He's sorry, an important.
It seems like he's on the mediums,
He
so
is,
that's a
yes.
definite two-stopper. So he has, if he wants to build a gap for the two-stopper, he has to do it right now.
I was going to say, yeah, it's not so much a case as Quinte pits from the lead, so Lalu leads now. Yeah, it's not so much a case of did he pit too early, it's did he go onto the right tyres. That's why he's so much quicker than the other cars around him right now, because he is on those mediums. It was always Lalu last year.
He might do
It was
it the other way
always
around.
Lalu who stayed out later than the others and led the race for a few laps. He's doing it again this year with Panzer and Krop right on his tail. But yeah, sorry for interrupting there. I think the race is, for the time being, between Granqvist and Stevens.
It could be anyone's game, as Lalu is on a completely different strategy. He's starting on the mediums, might go onto another set of mediums and then maybe the softs. Or maybe he does a medium hard, which could be the preferred one stop. Or he does something completely different, like a medium hard. We shall find out soon. I expect everybody, almost everybody, who started on the softs to be on a two-stopper. The only one who's jumping out there is Robin Panzer, who's still out on the softs in P2. So he might be on the soft hard one stop. And his lap times are in the low 23s, no, in the mid 23s.
Okay, sorry, what was that, Szymon? Okay, we're having broadcast issues. Looks as if we're going to have to restart the game, and therefore the stream will go and come back again. I believe we'll still be able to commentate kind of as a radio broadcast, but for the time being, you won't be able to see anything, unfortunately. This kind of thing does happen from time to time, unfortunately regularly, with the systems that we use, but we will cut away from that for the time being. Denahan has just got past Stepkovsky. That's an important one. Luke Maguire right on his tail. And that happened in the middle of the Villeneuve chicane, the Tamburello chicane that time around. Denahan not quite able to make it stick before the corner, had to really muscle his way through, but he's managed to make it stick. Jeffrey Fournier directly ahead of him now.
Yeah, meanwhile, Jan Granqvist has conquered P6. He's put in a few cars between him and Tom Stevens, which is quite important as Jan now has to build up a gap. And yeah, it's going to be interesting if he's going onto the mediums for the final stint or if he has to go onto the hards now. And maybe Tom Stevens has a longer stint now and goes onto the mediums later on. So we have a lot of different strategies also with Lalu and Krop.
Yep, Krop's about to pass Lalu actually. Krop goes through, so he gets his time in the sun now, leading the race.
Yep, doing a personal best on a 22.0, using the DRS to perfection there. And his pace is quite good. He's only lost a 10th to Jan Granqvist on fresh tires. The gap between Krop and the first stopper is now 13 seconds. With a fresh soft or fresh medium at the end, it might still be catchable.
Indeed. So we're about a third of the way through this race now. It looks as if two stoppers are the order of the day, although there is still time for drivers to surprise us on a one-stop strategy. Right now, the story is whether Jan Granqvist can pull enough of a gap ahead of the rest of the similar strategy cars to make it work for himself, or whether the medium tyres are just going to go to on Sandeep Singh. So sixth are now through into third place in this race. So Shooks has, I'm not sure he did pit actually, he seems to have just lost a load of places on track as a lot of drivers with fresher tyres have come flying through all in one go. Stevens, Denahan, Fournier, etc. Although I think Shooks did make a mistake because he was also ahead of Fidok last time I looked as well. Now down into 10th position in this race. Other drivers to look out for, Adam Maguire, he's only P11 at the present, although still plenty of time to go, and I am absolutely convinced that he's going to be way higher up the order than that by the end, judging by his drop. And Luke Maguire's dropped out. We've lost Luke Maguire, who was a real contender earlier on, and in the last minute of this race, he has disappeared. Oh, he had a coming together with Daniel Stepkowski. So, looking back at the replay, Maguire was on the inside of Stepkowski. There's been a misjudgment. Maguire lost his front wing, and then when did he retire? Because he continued on in the race. Did he crash on his way back potentially? As we get our pictures back now. But yes, Luke Maguire is out of this race, having been such a massive part of it earlier on. Oh, he's had a lag spike. He's been run into. So his way back to the pits without a front wing, he had a lag spike. No, that might just be a lag spike on my end because it appears to be the same for everyone. Janus Vorburn ran into the back of him. So Vorburn's had to come in as well. But yes, whatever the case, Janus Vorburn had to run into the back of Luke Maguire as Maguire was struggling to make it back to the pits. And that's when Maguire crashed into the wall. So unfortunately, that's our first major contender to fall.
Yeah, up front, Moritz Kropp has dictated the pace. He's been in the low 22s for a few laps. Now he's dropped down to low 23s. The guys who have stopped are catching at a rate of about a second, with Jan Granqvist being 3 times faster than Tom Stevens, but the fastest out of them seems to be Jack Danahan, as Kropp and Lalu are now pitting.
Indeed, Sixter in 2. Does sing? Yeah. So all 4 of the drivers who had not yet stopped have come in, and that means that Jan Granqvist will once again take over the lead of the race. Granqvist leads by 2.4 seconds from Tom Stevens now, which would be nowhere near enough of a gap if he was to stop again in this race, or if he was to stop one more time than Stevens. Third place, Danahan also on the medium tyres, don't forget, as is Jeffrey Fortier in 4th. David Feidock still in 5th place. He's the top driver yet to stop, if I'm not very much mistaken, which I might be. So, 24 laps done, and out of the race now, Fabio Sixter. Wow, that's unfortunate for Sixter, who, unfortunately, it must be said, usually retires from races like this due to various issues such as internet, and that may have been what took him out today, because he was running decently and then appears to have disappeared while in the pit lane. So that means we've had 3 retirements from this race now. 23 cars still running, with 22 of those on the lead lap. And there is Alessandro Quinte fighting with Tomasz Wok and Mateus Moos. Stephen, the attrition has started. Admittedly, we've only had 3 retirements so far, but even so, you've got to keep your head on in races like this. They're long, they're taxing, and you've got to be thinking and driving, which sometimes can be easier said than done.
I expect most of the teams to have a race engineer who takes a bit of the thinking process and lets the drivers just... they give them the chance to just drive. So I expect most of the teams to have one. And at the moment, up front, Jan Granqvist isn't really gaining time on the cars behind. Stevens is about a tenth slower, which is nothing really. He's only 3 seconds back, and seems to have a very good pace compared to Danahan and Fournier as well, who are also on the mediums. So,
and Fabio Sixter's back, so he has reset his game or something, and he's back on the road. Jolly good. Well, good for him for not giving up, even though he is well and truly in last place now. This kind of thing happens sometimes, and the race goes on.
You still get some experience from driving, seeing how the tires are feeling now that the track is properly rubbed in. And at the front, Granqvist is losing time. it seems like the mediums are getting a bit slower compared to the hards now. So it could be the hards again, like in the last few years. But we shall find out soon, as Quintai is pretty close to Wach.
Indeed. That's a good observation with the tyres there. Do you reckon Jake Dennehan might be wasting the set of mediums?
It depends, I guess. If he's right behind Stevens looking after them, as I expect him to have more pace right now. Also, he did run quite a bit longer in the first stint, about 3 laps. So his wear on the soft was better. His wear on the medium might be good enough to stay with him and use approximately the same amount of tires. I wouldn't count him out there. It's going to be interesting what the final tire will be, if it's going to be a soft, medium or hard.
I doubt it'll be a soft. You don't tend to see drivers finishing the race on soft tyres. Normally, as Maguire's about to put a move on Fournier here down the straight, up the inside, we're very, to be honest, Fournier's of course in the race as well. We're unsure as to what he's doing strategy-wise, but Maguire needs to put a move on him anyway, and does so, as Pushke gets past Stepkowski in the background. That was the other move that you saw taking place there. But,
I guess the only one who is struggling now is Grunquist, as he lost a further second now. He lost 8 tenths in the last lap compared to Stevens, so that is going to be quite close quite soon. And
is he struggling or under control?
It doesn't look controlled if it's that much. Also, Stevens has picked up the pace now. He's into the mid 21s, which he can do on these hard compound tires. They allow him to push a little bit more. And let me check. Grunquist is on his tires for 13 laps now.
Yeah.
While Stevens is on 11 laps, lap old tires. So he's not only got the harder compound tires, he also got the fresher ones. Now over the line, the gap is 1.5. He split a further 4 tenths faster on that lap.
I agree with you. I think if I was to be in any of these driver situations right now, I would want to be in Tom Stevens' shoes.
Yeah,
Here
also...
Thomas Rock? Sorry, that was move on to the next boost there as Crop and Shepard go side by side down in turn 1.
Yeah, also as we could see, Fournier lost the position to Maguire. Maguire on the hard compound tire, Fournier on the mediums. The hard compound tire seems to be the best right now with a heavy car. On the lighter car it could be going a little bit more in favor of the medium. As in the first sector, Tom Stevens again gained 2 tenths on Grunquist. To the second sector, a further 10th. I guess he won't be in DRS range this lap, but he's going to be in the DRS next lap for sure.
Fabio Sixter is going to make it so that no one gets a point for fastest lap at this rate. There he goes, 1:20.967. Very nice from Fabio there. Just having a bit of fun out the back after rejoining the race after whatever disconnection he had. So here we go onto the straight once again. Stevens does have the DRS, although 6 tenths back is not normally an overtaking buffer, despite the perceived top speed advantage we think that the THR setup has. Quinte is going to make a move on Moose. This is for 9th position. And goes up the inside. Jolly good.
Yeah, that's
nice and cleanly done for 9th there.
That smelled like a bit of push to pass for Quintal, as both had DRS.
Indeed.
And I think we're going to see a change for the lead this lap. He's pretty close, and I think he's gonna gain a lot more time, or not a lot more time, but he's going to gain until the final 2 corners. Let's see how they go over Marianti Alta.
Indeed, Stevens has led this race in the past, and he's had to fight for it when he has by making a move out of the final corner down the start-finish straight. His car does look very fast down there, but you still need to be close enough. And you still need to hold on in the TR. Now, what's the gap as they go onto the straight? About 0.5 of a second. This could be a chance. It really depends on... I mean, Granqvist is going to be using all of the push to pass that he can here, but... and he stays behind for the time being, but Stevens was close. Less than 0.2 of a second close. Sorry. And Quinte's on move, isn't he? The lap goes passing Moose, and this time goes past Thomas Fock. I've noticed the logo for the Pescara car is a dolphin. Luckily, no porpoising problems yet, but going up into P8 there. Thomas Fock.
Yeah, Quinte on much fresher tires compared to Wach and Moose. So he had the grip advantage there, and is still in the tire. And yeah, either Jan Granqvist is losing a very, very low drag setup, or he was using that push to pass to great effect last lap. We will find out over the next few laps if he's going to be able to do that consistent.
Oh, he's a lot closer this time in this meet. The top 4 are right together. Sorry, the top 3, that's a lap car just behind them. But yes, the top 3 are right together and in contention. Jake Denham could have a swipe at this as well. I don't think he's going to make it pretty wide, but they're definitely going to go side by side into turn 1 if the last few laps are anything to go by. Tom Stevens goes for it, takes a look, and he's going to get it before the braking zone. Stevens leads the race once again ahead of Jan Granqvist. I'm sure that Granqvist's plan to run those medium tyres is working out, because not only has he lost time to Stevens, but he's also losing time to Denham, who was sitting behind Stevens for all those laps. And I think... Sorry, yes.
Now Jake has to pass Jan ASAP.
You're right.
I feel like Tom Stevens has the pace to drive out of DRS from Jan, and if Jackie loses the DRS from Stevens, he might be in a struggle, as the mediums shouldn't be faster anymore compared to the hard compound tires. So I guess if Tom Stevens gets out of DRS, he will be gone for the moment.
Indeed. And even though they're both on medium tyres, which are a relatively similar age, gets very close into Ravatsas, I do think that Denham has significantly better tyres at this point in time, just because of the way that their races have gone and the way they've been driving. Not the best of exits to Ravatsas for Denham. I think he might have had a chance otherwise. He might still have a chance. Through he goes. Look at that. Doesn't even consider it. Just does it. Yeah. Jake Denham through to second. It's almost as if Granqvist wasn't using push to pass there. I'm sure he was.
Yeah, he had to. Tom Stevens was a man on the mission on the last lap. He was doing a personal best first and second sector. So Tom really had to try to push away to get out of the DRS, and it seems like he's pretty close to that right now. The gap says 1.3 in the live timing, and on here it's about 1.1 to 1.3, so he might have done it.
Yeah, I think so. Goodness. So Jake Denham might just about stay within DRS range of Tom Stevens here. Even if he doesn't, he's clearly got pace at this point in the race. His mediums have lasted fairly well, at least compared to Jan Granqvist, who appears to be all at sea at this point in time. Then again, remember how Granqvist got ahead earlier. It was a well-timed pit window with an undercut, and of course we have another pit window coming up in this race. So if he can do it again, he can launch himself right back into contention. He will probably have to pit earlier than the others anyway. So if he can make that part of his plan, factor it in, go onto some hard tyres and just blitz it, then maybe he can get himself back into contention in this race. For the time being, though, he's going to have to worry. I mean, first of all, he's got Janis Vorber on his tail, who's a lap down, but appears to be quicker. And then he's got Adam Maguire a couple of seconds back. Maguire not gaining as fast as Jake did, but he's still there and still a threat.
Yeah, Janis has the pain. He's got the unscheduled pit stop, so he's got way fresher tires now. and would ideally like to get past there. And either the timing screen has made a mistake, or Tom Stevens has, as Jack Danahan is right within the DRS right now.
You're absolutely right. Danahan pretty darn quick at this point in the race, and I mean Stevens is too, but Danahan is well and truly within DRS range, about 6/10 through that last sector, maybe about 7/10 on average, but even so, that's more than close enough to benefit down the straights. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen in this third stint of the race when they make their stops, because the tyres that they decide to go on are going to shape the end of this race. It's the kind of thing we always see in GPVWC Super League. No matter what strategies people decide to go on, and no matter what happens throughout the course of the race, it always comes together towards the end. You always end up with a very close finish. I mean, I don't really understand how it works, but it always does. And there is Filip Puška now up into P5. This has been a fantastic drive from Filip Puška so far. The best I've seen him drive since his comeback. And he's and Lalu, oh, that was close. Lalu goes through. Good move there for P13. But yeah, as for Puška, he took a little bit of time to get up and running on his comeback, and a year ago he was nowhere near this competitive. He looked a shadow of his former self, and now he's, you know, maybe even in contention for a podium later, depending on how the race goes. Who knows?
Yeah, we shouldn't forget about Krop. He's only 16 seconds off, and I think he's going to the end.
Really?
He's been, or he's the. He and Valu are almost the only ones I expect to be on a one-stopper. They pitted on lap 24.
Yeah, I think you might be right, but you called that very early. Are you sure that, or who's that in the pits? Was that one of the leaders?
P22.
No, sorry, I don't think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Christian Marcharak coming in.
I don't know, Lalu is always known for doing less stops. And they are on way fresher tires than the leaders, and they are not catching them. So I guess they are looking after the tires.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But yeah, you've called that early, so if you get it right, I will be very impressed. But Lalu is one for running long on his tires, doesn't like the pits much. I think he might be allergic to it. Moritz Krop running in P10 in this race at this time. I was watching Krop earlier. I thought he looked a little skittish. Maybe he didn't appear to be turning into the corners as sharply as some of his opponents around him were. But he was heavy traffic, so there may have been other factors to that. On his own, he seems fine. But yes, we'll keep an eye on him as well.
It's a little irritating that the wheel covers are white. On some cars they are yellow, and on some cars they are red. So you could think that they are on medium or on mediums on softs, while they are on hard compound tires.
Especially since the actual coloured pins that show you what tyres they are much narrower than they used to be as well. I mean, you can tell what it is. If you look at Jake Danahan here, the middle of the wheel is yellow, so it's very clearly a medium tyre. But if he was on soft, we might still think it's a medium tyre. I don't know. Here's Adam Maguire. Maguire's got a lot closer to Grandquist. I told you he'd catch him.
Yeah, Grandquist pitted earlier than the other guys, and he's now struggling compared to Adam Maguire, who's on fresher, harder tires. So that's gonna be very hard to defend for Jan Grandquist.
With respect to Luke Maguire, at least we no longer have to say Adam Maguire's name. We can just say Maguire now, since there's only one of them running in this race. But yes, he is challenging Jan Grandquist for that third place, and Jan appears to be maybe half a second, maybe more, slower than the other drivers around him in the order at this point in time. Look at the difference that makes coming out of the variant, the Alta. So much more traction for Adam Maguire. Almost bump drafting him down the straight there. Very close. Here we go, though. This will be his chance.
Easy. Well,
into the pits. There we go. Even easier.
That's way easier.
Adam will still get the DRS too.
Yeah, I guess some free DRS with some extra cheese.
Ah, you're surprised with that? Stops for hard tyres. That is what he attempts to go to the end, but it is a very long stint now.
Yeah, but with a way lighter car, so that shouldn't be an issue now.
That's true. That's true. And again, he'll want to push because he'll want to try to get himself back to contention for the lead. But if he's bad now, then what will happen later on? He's going to come out right alongside David Flydock, just drops behind him there. He'll be quick.
Yeah, but it will cost him slightly, as he will be in the dirty air until the start-finish straight, or he will have to use some push to pass or do a risky move before that.
Yeah.
So not ideal, but we don't know how far down his tires were. As we can see, Thomas Wach right behind. That's Matthias Moos. Yeah.
Not
The
a
red
bad day
Archer
for
car.
RSR so far.
The red Archer car looks black in certain situations where there's not a lot of light.
That's okay. Mirrors the current Formula 1 with using as much black as they can to save weight.
And they're all pitting.
Yes, along with Stepkowski and Moose. Will the RSR cars have to stack here? I think they might. It's going to be close.
Yeah, I know from the last few seasons that Moose and Wach were working together on the setup, so maybe they're working together on the strategy as well.
Oh no. Oh, he had to wait. Yeah, Wach had to wait there. Slightly mistimed from power play RSR.
Yeah, I guess the extra lap would have been more beneficial.
I think so too.
Stepkowski comes out.
Sixth has had a spin. Waiting for that
Sixth had a
fastest
spin.
lap.
Wait now. The guys like Moose, Stepkowski, they are 43 seconds off the pace now. Or is that correct? I guess we will wait for another lap for the live timing to get updated. As Jake Danahan seems to be the only one to keep the medium tires alive, but he was also the guy who kept the soft tires alive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, his higher wings, his extra downforce seems to look after the tires well. And with the DRS, he doesn't have the penalty of the extra drag on the start-finish straight.
There's Maguire. Jolly good. Yeah, Jake doing an awesome job on those medium tires. Who is it in IMSA racing? They always say he wears like fluffy pink bunny slippers to help him save tire life or something like that. Might be Richard Westbrook, one of the Ford drivers. Anyway, I have a feeling that Jake Denman is doing his best Richard Westbrook impression here today. Across the start-finish line, David Flydock about to make a move on Jeffrey Ford. These two very old rivals have been fighting in GPVWC for at least 5 seasons, and probably longer outside of GPVWC as well.
Yeah, but in IMSA they only have a certain amount of tire sets, while we here in sim racing we have unlimited sets.
Yeah, you don't want to use all of them.
You cannot use all of them.
Yeah,
They are unlimited.
well, literally.
As
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah. You would ideally only like to use 2, but today it seems like it's going to be 3 for most of them, as Tom Stevens is going into the pits.
Good timing for Danahan, because Danahan had just lost the DRS, didn't have a great lap time round, but now he'll get the lead. So Stevens in, another set of hards presumably, and he will run to the end. 23 laps to go, so that's definitely doable. Now where will he come out in relation to Adam Maguire? There was about 2 or 3 seconds between them before, but we know that the undercut works. Adam came out in traffic, and there's a bit more of a gap actually. Out of the pits comes Tom, and he's significantly ahead of Jan and Adam. So Jan Grankvist there, who has... So Grankvist has still come out ahead of Maguire, sorry. I forgot to update you on that, and then Stevens come out ahead of both of them, and they've got Sandeep Singh separating them too. Jolly good.
Yeah, the gap between Stevens and Maguire has been around 5 seconds, so that would have been quite an ambitious undercut.
True, sorry, I was getting confused with the whole Grankvist situation. My apologies. But yeah, they have now got Sandeep Singh between them as well, so...
Yeah, but Sandeep will have to pit again. He's on the mediums right now, and he's been on the mediums in the first stint, so it's going to be a medium hard, or medium soft for Sandeep.
There's Jake Dennehan, so Philip Pushkin will lead the race, as I think he led a couple of races last season, kind of the mid part of the year. I remember him leading a bit, but now goes back through to the lead, 2 seconds ahead of Alessandro Quinte. I think the real fight now is Dennehan versus Stevens.
Yeah, as Dennehan is going on to mediums again, so it seems like he doesn't like the hard compound tires, but the gap that Tom Stevens got from the undercut is quite impressive now.
Yeah, that's very brave. So Dennehan clearly trusts himself on those medium tyres, knows that he can keep them alive for 22 laps, and to be honest, I think he can. I think we've seen that he can do it.
Yeah, he's been on them for 23 laps now, so he's gonna do the same again, and with a lighter car. I guess it's gonna be quite doable for him, but now he has to catch Tom Stevens, who shouldn't have too much traffic. He's going to have Lalo, Panzer, and Kropp in front of him. The 3 of them are candidates for a one-stop.
So could that be the crucial decision in the race? Dennehan going on to medium tyres. It does depend on how many of the drivers ahead of them come in for a final pit stop. Because you're absolutely right. As Pushke pits, Kropp and Lalu don't have to stop. They've already made a pit stop. You only have to make one in a race. Quinte comes in, so Kropp now leads, and we think if and I do trust you on this, Stephen, because you are very clever with strategy. I think that Moritz Kropp is genuinely in the lead race here, and he will need to be passed on the road by drivers wanting to finish ahead of him. That might well be doable, because of course Stevens and Dennehan are faster right now, and they do have the fresher tyres as well. But again, it's one thing being faster than someone, and another thing actually passing them. The 2 stacks racing cars together on the road now after Pushke pitted.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people didn't think that Owen McGorry was going to one-stop it 2 days ago in Superlights, but he did, and he won the race with it. And Moritz Kropp, Ron Panzer, and Lalu, I don't expect them to fight for the win, but considering where some of them started, it will be quite an upgrade for them doing the one-stop if they can get it through.
And actually, having seen where Frelik came out there, I think the podium might be a bit ambitious for him, but even so, I mean, top 5 still very, very much doable. Here, Robin Panzer, you reckon Panzer's going to stop again? Surely he's going to stop, right?
Panzer, he's done 20 laps on his softs, so...
Yeah, he'll be in, yeah.
If he has done 20 laps on the softs, he has to do 43 on the hards. I think it might be doable for him. Okay. If you stay out that long on a soft compound tire, you don't do it if you want to do a 2-stopper.
Yes, sorry, there's Grankvist passing Singh. You might be right there actually. So how long has Kropp been out for? When did he stop?
Kropp pitted on lap 23, just like Lalo. So it seems like Panzer might be the best with the tires out of the 3.
So we may have overlooked Rob Panzer then. He could be a contender here too.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess one thing that's important to keep an eye on then is that Kropp and Panzer themselves are in a fight. They are separated by just a few seconds in each of these time zones, and these sector splits rather. And on one hand, this is the fight for the lead, but on the other hand, the more they fight, the less chance they actually have of being the fight for the lead.
Yes, and Caitlin, Jake has used his medium compound tires to perfection. He's gained 1 second last lap on Tom Stevens and is now back in the DRS.
And he's got the fastest lap of the race, 120.045. He's
Yeah,
gaining. What is to the outside? This will be brave. There's an inside corner coming up. Oh, beautiful move from Jake Dennehan. That was like the one. Who was it who did that in FS2? Lucas Stein? Someone went right around outside on the final lap, but that was in the reverses. Jake Dennehan makes it work though, and that is a crucial move. He will be quicker than Tom Stevens at this point in the race. And now the question is tyre life for him, for Krop, for Panzer. At the rate that Dennehan is catching the top three, they're going to have absolutely no chance. Dennehan doesn't just have the pace, but he's got the tyres as well. He is going to blitz past Lalu, Panzer and Krop. But then again, that is only on theory. He actually has to do it now.
It looked like Jack Dennehan was using quite a bit of push to pass to not only get past him, but only to get away from Tom Stevens. Now I guess he doesn't want Tom Stevens to be within his DRS now. Otherwise Tom Stevens can just look after his tires and just chill in DRS. Now Jack Dennehan seems to be pushing quite a bit. He was a full second faster in the first sector.
This is going to be a move. Panzer to the outside. And he's going to do exactly what we saw a lap ago from Dennehan, although he gets it done earlier. So Panzer goes through on Krop and leads the race for the first time. Another very crucial move that could be one that affects the finishing order quite significantly here. Jake Dennehan still catching though. That was another great lap from Jake. He is going to be right on the back of Jukka-Pekka Lalu.
And we have the top 5 guys within 3.5 seconds now. Tom Stevens has managed to stay within the DRS of Jake Dennehan. So I guess that's mission failed for Jake.
Less than 1/3 of the race to go now. Panzer leads by 0.6 of a second from Krop. And unlike last year, we're fairly confident of what their plan is. They're trying to run to the end and hope that the drivers on faster tyres will not be able to overtake them. Jukka-Pekka Lalu sits in 3rd place, but judging by the sight that he's got in his mirrors now, he won't be there for long. Jake Dennehan is right there and significantly faster. Tom Stevens there as well. I wonder if he can pounce in the traffic, because they've got plenty of traffic coming up. Reluctant traffic at that.
Let's see Tom Stevens. Yep, he will pass him as well easily.
Oh, look at that! He's nearly on the grass! He's going to go to the outside! Stevens didn't just not back out, he actually went for a move. That was brilliant from Tom Stevens, keeping his foot in. Very nearly had a huge accident, George Russell, Valtteri Bottas style, and somehow nearly made up a place in the process. Philip Pushkin now passes Jeffrey Fournier, so Pushkin back into the top 10.
No.
Goodness me, what a move, Stephen.
Yeah, that's from Tom Stevens. That's what a low drag setup and push to pass and DRS look like.
Yes, and a lot of bravery.
Yeah, I guess Lalu wasn't expecting him to arrive like a rocket ship. And yeah, I guess Lalu might have had to shake himself after that. And yeah, Tom, very brave, 2 tires on the grass. We could, as you said, we saw it end in tears back in 2021 in real Formula 1. And Dennehan looks to be close to getting out of the DRS again from Tom. Also close to the DRS of the cars in front. He doesn't have it, but does Tom have it? Yes, he has. So that's going to be Tom Stevens right back behind him again. And the top 4 cars are now covered by 2.3 seconds. The top 5 still by 3.8.
Stephen, is there any universe where Jake Dennehan doesn't take the lead of this race now?
Only the universe where Tom Stevens has a failure with his push to pass button and it stays on.
Indeed. I'd love to know how much push to pass these guys have got left, actually. That would really... I mean, we'd be all over that in the commentary booth. We'd be talking about it every lap.
We need a display on the side of the cars, or maybe here inside of the halo with a number going down from 100 to 0.
I don't know if that's possible, because if it was possible, I think we'd have done it by now.
I know that the positions are visible in the official R-Factor content. And
yeah, but what about the push to pass?
I don't know. I know that the pit stop timer is also there, but the position timer or the
Ooh.
position would change.
Crop
quite
had a
soon.
twitch. Crop had a big twitch. Denahan's going to get him. Here we go, down the straight. And these two old rivals from Formula Sprint 1, they've been fighting for a good few years now as well. But Crop's got the DRS too, actually, so he might not get him. I thought he was going to midway through the Rabatzes. Heading towards turn 1, they stay in order.
I think Moritz used a little bit of push to pass. Being a little cheeky driver. And yeah, him having the DRS, and we know that Jack Danahan isn't that he doesn't have the low drag setup like Tom Stevens. It's going to be difficult, or maybe he tries it here with a bit of push to pass, but that's going to be very ambitious.
Ooh, come on.
That could end in tears, but it doesn't.
Beautiful, decisive and beautiful. Through he goes. Crop's going to lose another place down into Acqua Minerale now as Tom Stevens goes through. There is only Robin Panzer now separating Denahan and Stevens from clean air and the trophy.
Yeah, the question will be what Adam McGuire can do.
He's a few seconds back now.
Yeah, but he still has 15 laps to go and way fresher tires, so P3 might still be on the card for Adam McGuire, who
indeed
got past young Grandcrest and almost got him out of DRS.
Here comes Denahan. Here comes Denahan. He's going to make a move. He goes to the inside. He's very fast, and he does take the lead. So Jake Denahan, who took the lead at the very start of the race with a supreme getaway, and then had to retake the lead a few laps later, has now done it again. So that's the third move for the lead that Jake Denahan has had to make today, and he's made it stick. So Panzer now separates him from Stevens, and that is the crucial fight, because it's Stevens that could take Denahan's win away in the late stages, depending on his tyres. Through the Piratella they go.
Now. Tom Stevens, if he doesn't get past soon, Jack Denahan would be out of DRS, as I think he already is. It looks pretty close. With Jack Denahan doing a purple sector 1.
Panzer's going to be out of DRS range.
Yeah, he's 6 times faster as well in sector 2. Jack Denahan is the man with a mission right now. He's outside of the DRS. And now it's on Tom Stevens to catch back into DRS. The DRS from Panzer will help now, but I don't think that it's going to be enough to get back within that second.
Stevens is going through very fast there from Tom Stevens. That is what you call overspeed and overkill, and makes the corner too. So Tom Stevens through into second place. The gap is 1.5 seconds now, with Jake Denahan still seeming to be the fastest driver on the road, as Mateus Moose gets Jeffrey Fournier for 10th position here. Remember, points go down to 15, so that's what matters in the long haul. David Feidock has the fastest lap of this race, just as he did in his previous Super League outing at Silverstone. And so David is technically the fastest car on the track right now, as he still contends with... He's actually in a big train of cars from Jolt Sux back to Sandeep Singh, Pascal Pollins. Those are the two cars you see side by side there, and then David Feidock, who is right on the back of that little train. And there you see how similar the HRT and Adonis liveries look.
Pascal Pollins is a little bit disappointing for me, to be honest. I expected him to be well within the points. Maybe the preparation hasn't been as great. And yeah, by the way,
it's a competitive field.
If you look at the top, if you add Owen McGorry, you would have the FS1 fight from last year. You would.
You really would. Look at this, Moritz Krop on Robin Panzer. He's got to go for it here, surely. No?
He doesn't.
Okay.
He doesn't want to. He's lifting.
He's lifted. Okay. That's interesting. He was waiting for his chance for a long time, and I thought that might have been his chance at last. But anyway, he'll get more chances, potentially.
He's been passed by Panzer before. Panzer did only 3 laps less in the first stint, but Panzer was on the softs compared to the mediums of Moritz Krop. So I expect Panzer to have a slightly better tire wear in general. And he already passed Moritz Krop a few laps ago, or about 10 or 15 laps ago. And now Moritz Krop is doing everything he can to stay within the DRS, looking after the tires, maybe saving some fuel. I don't know if they might have underfueled the car a bit. And that's gonna be a shootout towards the end of the race. Also, they might have to look after the push to pass they have. The more push to pass you have at the end of the race, the more you can push on those final 2 laps. And as we can see, Adam Maguire has catched up to the one-stop guys. And it should be quite an easy pass now on Lalu, as Krop now eventually
There he
goes up for
goes.
it. And
He
right
does go
behind
through
him,
to third now. And Adam Maguire gets past Lalu. Took him a while though. Took him a long. And do we have a problem? I think my game's crashing. Oh no,
in that case,
it's fine. Sorry, no, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. There's Grankvist fighting with Lalu. No, I was saying that because I wasn't sure if there was any internet issue on the server or something. But luckily, it appears that we're all okay. But yes, through goes Grankvist on Lalu.
Yeah, that was a team order. That was quite visible as Lalu went to the side. And Sandeep Singh now goes into the points.
The final points pin position for Sandeep Singh.
And yeah, the gap up front has stabilized. They are within 2/100ths of a second to Jack Denner and Tom Stevens. But I think the last word is not spoken, as Tom Stevens is on the more durable tire. And I think Zolt has lost another position to Pascal Polens, as we have a yellow flag in sector 2.
Yeah, I'll try to get. Oh, it's Christian Malczarek who's lost his front wing.
Yeah, that's quite a tricky corner. If you have a bit of oversteer in the car, it can catch you out very fast.
There is the damaged green stripes car. He lost control out of Aqua Minerali. That was the corner that was catching absolutely everyone out in FS2 a few days ago. But anyway, didn't catch me out.
Me neither.
10 laps to go now. Okay.
I have some experience.
10 laps to go in this race. One thing that yes, indeed. Sorry. One thing that I've been keeping an eye on is that Adam Maguire has not been making his way through the older tired cars as much as you would expect. But yes, still in 5th position there. Managed to get past Lalu eventually.
He should be right behind them, or
he is, but before all of this happened, he was about maybe 4 or 5 seconds behind Denahan and Stevens overall, and he's losing chunks of time. Maybe not that much time. He's lost a fair deal of time passing Lalu. It took him a while. And
I remember before the pit stop it was around 5 seconds. Now it's 8 seconds, so over the stint he has lost 3 seconds.
But now he's got Grankvist on his tail as well, and I think Grankvist is looking quicker at this point.
Grankvist, yeah. The tire ages are... Adam Maguire has 2 lap younger tires compared to Grankvist, who struggled at the end of the last stint, but last stint Jan Grankvist was on the mediums, which doesn't seem to be the best tire. The best tire still seems to be the... Well, in the hands of most drivers, the hard compound tire seems to be the best, but our leader has the medium. It can also be a setup thing, and also a driver thing.
Sorry, yes, I've just noticed in the YouTube chat, Luke Maguire is updating us that Adam apparently has car damage. We didn't see where he picked that up from, whether that was just a really nasty curb or something. But Luke has reported that Adam's car is damaged. Owen McGorgy saying that Pascal Polens isn't necessarily up the top because of he's got exams and things like that taking up practice time, which makes sense. Luke says that Adam had contact with Jeffrey Fournier. That must have been earlier during the pit window, as Panzer once again takes Moritz Kropp. Through he goes, and Kropp will presumably give way to Maguire now, so that Maguire will have a clean run at Panzer. Might happen down into Villeneuve. There we go. But yes, we didn't see the contact with Fournier actually happen, so that must have been quite significant contact for Maguire to be reporting damage.
And by the way, we have 3 out of those 4 being one-stoppers, so we have 3 one-stoppers in one picture. So very close between those 3. And I guess Adam Maguire is gonna fly by on the next start-finish straight. The question is if here Panzer is he able to follow Maguire, or will he just have the DRS for one further up?
Oh, I think they touched. Slightly going down into the Ravazzas, and through he goes. I don't think Maguire wanted to go through there. I think he was trying to. Oh, look at that! I think Panzer went for the DRS, and now we're going to get a massive DRS train with 3 cars. Look at Grankvist coming through. They might go 3 wide. Panzer is the orange car on the outside. They do go 3 wide, and there's a car coming out the pits. That was nearly 4 wide. Into turn 1 they go, and Panzer's nearly going to be bundled over the curbs. We got Kropp on the inside, and a big twitch from Grankvist. Grankvist runs through the gravel, rejoins the road now, and somehow they will make it through. That was nearly an absolute disaster.
Ah, that's Grankvist. Oh, I've mistaken him for Lalo, who's fallen back quite a bit.
Yeah, Lally dropped back a while ago. Grankvist ended up going through because of team orders on the straight. But yeah, Jan Grankvist here getting well and truly involved in that one, probably too involved for his liking. I'm going to watch that again on my stream. Oh goodness, they so nearly went 4 wide because Volburn was coming out the pits as well. It's a good job he didn't come out the pits maybe a second earlier. Otherwise, they might have had nowhere to go into turn 1. And all of them did a very good job to make it through there with their wings attached. But anyway, here is Moritz Kropp, who's going to have to do it all over again, and once again very nearly goes into the back of Robin Panzer. Slides it sideways. Grankvist now right back with him. Here's Philip Pushke. And I tell you what, at this rate, Pushke can still finish 4th. Goodness me.
Yeah, Pushke
down the straight they go.
Is on the mediums that are 5 laps younger compared to Grankvist's tires, and he uses the grip. Oh.
They touch, they tangle. Oh, and around goes. Oh, they've both gone round. Oh no. Well, someone was going to do that eventually, but oh goodness, and they rejoin very nearly right into the pack. Grankvist gets through, and they do somehow rejoin safely. It was touch and go. But yes, very disappointing from both of them because I was hoping that they would get to the end cleanly. And unfortunately, couldn't be.
It's so easy to run into each other. The cars are so wide nowadays, and this chicane is so narrow. So going side by side there is very, very brave. You have to trust the other car to do it. It's easier on the FS1 and FS2 cars as they are quite a lot smaller. So yeah, doing it in those cars is very, very hard.
Pushke got on the inside curve, you see, kind of came out towards Grankvist and then couldn't correct it in time, and Grankvist ended up going over the curbs. And that's the trouble, once you're up in the air, you can't steer, so Grankvist then came back and took a chunk out of the rear of Pushke's car.
Yeah, we're back live. Moritz Kropp, does he go for it? He goes for it. Very
nice.
Brave. Very, very brave. But also very intelligent from Panzer not to turn in. That was from a mile back.
Yeah, I think both of those guys know what they're doing. There's Pushkin and his recovery drive. But yes, I feel like that one's going to be looked at by the stewards, to be honest. I mean, of course, they do have to report it. Stewards don't look at incidents like that automatically, but I wouldn't be surprised if that one goes that way.
Yeah, it's going to be very tight. I guess it's most likely going to be a racing incident.
Sorry, Stevens might have DRS here. Stevens has been not just sticking with Danahan, he's still going for it, isn't he?
Yeah,
He knows they've only got 5 laps left.
He's been gaining 3 tenths on the last lap.
He's just outside of DRS range, only just though.
Yeah, and on this lap he gained a further half a tenth. Now the hard compound tires should be the better tire as the stint goes on.
Come on, let's get a fight. We want to see this to the end. Stepkowski's going to take 5th. He has been quietly fantastic today, has Daniel Stepkowski. I mentioned him earlier, jumping a whole bunch of cars. He did lose a few of those positions again in the second stint, but his third stint has been just as good as his first. Here's Prix, and that's around the outside of Thomas Schwab. Good move, nicely done.
Yeah, Stepkowski also on the 2-stopper compared to the 1-stopper of Panzer and Krupp.
Prix coming back at him here. Sorry, but there we go, maintaining position. So there is Tom Stevens. This is the fight for the lead. It always happens in Super League. I say this every time, but it's just the Super League thing. Drivers manage to accordion together towards the end of the race, and we always get a close win. I think only one race last season was by more than 10 seconds. So races this long, I mean, that's crazy. That really is. And we don't even get safety cars or anything like that.
You can see it in the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Now he's got it open.
DRS Tom Stevens, so we had back into this fight for the lead. I cut out of it there, I know I did, but anyway. He's still there. Oh my goodness, we've got a fight on.
Oh yes, we have, and we have a Tom Stevens behind them as Stepkowski now.
Stepkowski's 4th. Good move.
I guess that was pretty inevitable as he's got the 2 stops, so he's got way fresher tires.
Yeah, but where did he come from? He was nowhere near 4th in the second stint. I knew he was going to be top 10, but 4th place is pretty darn good.
Yeah, and back to the front, Tom Stevens has it easier now as he's got the top speed advantage. Overtaking will be easier, and his mission now will be to be as close as he can in those final few corners as Wolburn gets the fastest lap with a purple 3 sectors. I guess that point or that thing belongs to him, but this looks pretty easy now for Tom. If he gets a good exit, yep. That doesn't help the exit from Danahan, and that should be quite easy for Tom. Is Danahan using the push to pass? It looks like it. Still on the outsides.
Ooh.
They're fighting and they're touching.
Oh! He's still there!
And
Stevens takes the lead. That was a really bad time for me to have a lag spike, but yes, Tom Stevens goes through to the lead of the race ahead of Jake Danahan with a very, very... Wow, that was good racing there, close quarters. These two know how each other race, and Tom Stevens has managed to use that to get through into the lead with just... Well, we got 2 laps to go after this one completes. Jeffrey Fournier on the back of Jakob Lalu as well. He should be quicker at this point in time, because of the way their strategies have fallen. Lalu, unfortunately, dropping back in this final part of the race. It's not over yet between Stevens and Danahan. Danahan has more chances with more DRS and slipstream, but every second that goes by, he might be losing more of the chance.
He might be
tires,
losing the tires, and Tom Stevens has the better straight line speed, and
he'll just about still have DRS. He just about still has DRS now. Did he touch the wall that time? I think he touched the wall down the start-finish straight. That's how much he was trying to cut it. Goodness me.
Yeah.
This is for 6 now, Panzer and Moose.
2-stop versus 1-stop. The 2-stop wins this battle, and Robin really has to get his tires together. As it's only 2 laps to go, but there's a lot of angry guys behind him. Lalu has to also catch up back to him. And Krop has slowly but surely won the one-stop battle. But yeah, it's gonna be close with moves towards the end of the race, I think. As everybody will just push now. No matter if you're on a one-stop or two-stop, as somebody was in the gravel. I don't know who
I think
it
it's
was.
Moose. I think Matthias Moose has gone off. Oh, he's crashed. So Moose has hit the wall hard. Wow, that's a shame. He was going to be in the top 10 easily. So that puts Jan Grankvist back into the top 10 now. And I'm going to have a look. Yeah, if you can keep watching the leaders, we'll take a look back and see exactly what happened to Matthias Moose.
I think
Denahan's too far back now. He's lost the DRS as we're onto the final lap.
Lalo and Panzer will have quite a difficult task now, as both of their tires should be about dead. Now it's the question of who has more push to pass left with only 100 seconds per race.
Indeed. Moose's accident was interesting. If you've ever seen Michael Schumacher's accident from 1995 going up into the Grotella, it was basically a replay of that.
That was before my time.
Fair enough, fair enough. Just snapped to the right and slammed into the wall.
So he lost on his own.
Yeah, completely on his own contact.
Unlucky. That hurts.
Indeed.
With 2 laps to go, that really hurts. When you're that close to the finish, as you can see, everybody's just struggling. But Lalo seems to be struggling the least. Everybody's just squirming on the rears, so the rear tires are done for everybody. And again, Fournier is really asking everything out of the rear tires, as we can see Tom Stevens getting to the final 2 corners.
With a little bit of traffic, but he should be okay. Tom Stevens comes out of the final corner, and he is going to give THR a victory on their very first Super League outing. Tom Stevens is a GPVWC Super League Grand Prix winner, and I'm so proud to say that, having followed pretty much his entire GPVWC career. That is absolutely wonderful. Stevens wins, Denahan at second, Adam Maguire back on the podium, 3rd place for him, Stepkowski 4th, then Krop, Panzer across line 6 in this close fight that you're seeing. Ooh, that was close. Pekka Lalu, P7, then Jeffrey Fournier, Alessandro Quinte and Jan Grankvist, the top 10, and the rest of the points go the way of Philip Pushke, Thomas Schmock, Chris Shepherd, Sandeep Singh, and David Fidok. So Fidok getting a point on his return as well. The 4 retirements, there were 3 retirements in the end. Moose was one of them, although he will still be classified, and then Luke Maguire and Andrea Catalani, unfortunately, retired earlier on. And there will be no point for fastest lap because that went the way of Yannis Wilburn in the end in the 1:18s. So a fantastic race there. That was extremely exciting right the way to the end. And we've got a brand new winner in Super League, both in the form of the driver and the team. THR have done it on their debut, Stephen.
Yep. Very impressive. So the setup work in the winter has paid off for them. As I said, only Owen McGorgy was missing. Otherwise, we would have had the FS1 battle from last year. And again, Tom Stevens was victorious, like last year. Yeah. Interestingly, as we can see, Moritz Krop, Panzer, and Lalo, P5, P6, and P7, the 3 lone one-stoppers, still managed to get great points. And yeah, I give the voice back to you.
Indeed. Sorry, I'm having a few little lag spikes, so I try to get my site back up. Stick around for some interviews. We're going to have a few in a few minutes' time. But there you see the order. We've got Stevens leading. Stevens has 1, followed by Denahan, Maguire, Stepkowski, Krop, Panzer, Lalu, Fournier, Quinte, and Grankvist, the top 10. Some brand new drivers there. Some slightly more seasoned competitors. Philip Pushke certainly falls into the last category, P11. Then it's Vok, Shepherd, Singh, Fidok, Wasserman, Shukes, Holland, Skyer, and Shitzik. Points, of course, going down to 15th position. Then Matthias Moose, Christian Marcharek, Fabio Sixter, and then Yannis Wilburn, Luke Maguire, and Andrea Catalani. Only 2 drivers won't be classified in that one. It was a pretty safe round all in all, what we like to see. Next up we will be in Bahrain. You see the calendar there. and that will be on the 23rd of March, although we're going there a lot sooner in the junior categories. And the rest of the calendar looking very exciting as well. I'm very much looking forward to Jeddah being a new addition to the championship, and then finishing the championship in Brazil just as we always should. Goodness, we've got a lot of people going into the interview room now, so let's move over to there and speak to some of the winners. I think first of all we've got to speak to our brand new Super League winner, Luke Maguire. Wait, no, that's not right, is it?
Wrong
what
one.
am I doing? I'm completely. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Who? Tom Stevens won. What's my brain up to?
Good old
Sorry,
Maguire
Luke.
didn't have the best of races.
Yes, that's true. My apologies. I just had a complete brain fart there. Luke, my apologies. You did not have a good race. What happened?
I wasn't expecting an interview, but in many ways.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I just me and Stepkowski went into turn one, and he just came across me and took me out. And then on the in-lap in with no front wing, Walburn just drove into the back of me. And I'm not sure if it was my fault or his fault, but yeah, look, I'm still happy that Tom showed great pace today to win, and we have a great setup and a great kind of head start on the season.
And you certainly had some good pace out there, and I mean, obviously THR doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, well, we can thank Toby for the strategy, Tom for the setup, and yeah, just a good group of guys for a maiden win for Tom Stevens. So I just want to congratulate him.
Yep. Well then, thank you and better luck next time. Next time in Bahrain.
Cheers. Thank you.
So I guess Caitlin is lagging out at the moment. So now I will move Tom Stevens first into the green runner, and then I will get him here into the broadcast room. Good evening, Mr. Stevens, and congratulations on your first win in Super League.
Thank you very much.
It's been quite a hard fight with Jake Danahan for you, so two different strategies, mediums versus hards. How comfortable were you at the end with your tires?
Well, personally, for me, I think it's amazing how Jake managed to run the mediums like that. Like, I personally went with the hard tyre because it was just much easier to lean on, and it was bringing much more consistent lap times to me. So the fact he stretched them that long is just really amazing. So great job to him. But coming into this round, I really, really did not know what to expect. And well, I always doubt myself. I think everyone does, and you don't really know where you're going to line up in the pecking order, especially at the start of a new season. So yeah, to come out with a result like that, I'm really, really proud. And I've got to say, big thanks for everyone at Team THR. Honestly, Luke, Toby, Moritz, Chris, Adam, Tommy, Lee, everyone. Just yeah, thank you for the prep and hard work going into this round.
Yeah, looks like it's sim racing always is and always will be a team sport. So we've already heard Toby made a great strategy for you on the pit wall. Being the team manager, I guess he's got a lot of reasons to be very proud of you.
Yeah, we had a few things lined up and ready to go, but as soon as I'm in the race scenario, I don't need to really think about it. I can leave it to him. I have my whole faith in Toby Davis. He's an incredible engineer.
Yep.
Hi. Sorry, I just had a complete lag out there. I don't know what's already been said or not. Yes, Tom. Oh my God, you won! Wow.
Yeah, pretty unexpected from my point of view, but yeah, just truly amazing, and I'm pretty speechless.
Congratulations! That's absolutely amazing. Yeah, having followed your whole career so far, this really does feel like the. I mean, it was always going to happen, but for it to happen on the very first race of the 2023 season, driving for THR, of course, who have done so well with you in the past. I mean, this has got to feel pretty darn special.
Oh, for sure it does. this time last week. All I could do was really dream about this in a cringy way. But yeah, wow. I'm just sorry. I'm just speechless, pretty much.
No, I understand. I really, really do. What's the plan for the rest of the season? If that hasn't already been asked, I don't know what's been said.
Well, hopefully to just continue this type of streak, but we still need to keep working hard going into every round and just take it race by race at this point, because it's Super League and anything can happen. We've seen in past seasons, so it's just all about consistency at this point, and then we'll see what happens later on in the season.
Indeed. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, sorry for butting in, Szymon. I will probably let you do the rest of the interviews because my PC is not being very helpful right now.
Okay. So then the next person will be the guy, Jan Granquist, who finished in P3 in the standings, or in the race. Jan,
Hello there.
great podium today. How did your race go?
Well, the podium got thrown away, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's it was a bit of a difficult one today, but yeah, P10.
Oh, that was a mistake on my end then. Yeah, I'm very sorry for that. What happened then again?
So there was all kinds of stuff kicking off, obviously. So there was a train behind Panzer. Adam and I had caught up, and then Krop was also one of the cars that we caught up to. And well, Pushka was originally a few seconds behind, but as soon as that pack sort of grouped up, I got in a bit of trouble because Krop missed his braking into the second to last corner, which then butterfly effect just put me in all kinds of trouble, because then Pushka dumped all of his push to pass on the straight, and well, he just simply didn't leave me enough space on the outside, and then yeah, I got run out to the sausage curbs and nothing I could do. We both got taken out, and yeah, that's the P10 from me.
Now I just remembered you were going side by side to the first three corners, but yeah, it's very tricky at any time going to those corners with those white cars. Anyway then, I wish you the best of luck for the next round in Bahrain then.
Yeah, I mean, to talk about also the pace that we had, I think THR definitely have something. I mean, they had a bit more top speed, and I mean, obviously, we came into this round thinking we were confident, but they've beaten us fair and square in all departments pretty much. But yeah, hopefully in the next one we'll have sorted that one out and we can be there even closer.
Yeah, one little question then. What did you expect? 3 guys up there with a one stop?
Yeah, actually. So, well, the thing was, we knew that the medium hard strategy was going to be the most, like, the strongest. But obviously, qualifying on C4s was also something you didn't want to miss out on. So it was a sacrifice, really. I don't know exactly what strategies the others went for, but I think we were just too far off to do a C4 to the C2 strategy, so we left that one out of the cards for us. But yeah, the one stop was definitely strong.
Yep. Thank you for being here, and better luck next time in Bahrain.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And do we have time for another one, Monsieur Szymon?
I think so. I think we can, yeah, go for it.
Okay, then we go to the real finisher on the podium, Adam McGuire. Let's get him in here. Now we got the real P3. Adam, it's been a fight at the end of the race with the one-stoppers. Congratulations on the podium. How has the race been for you?
Hello. Yeah, the race was pretty okay. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare because I was only asked to fill in only a few days ago. But yeah, it was a good race. I didn't get a good quali in, so I started quite far. Well, P5. Worked my way up, but yeah, it was a bit of a messy race. I had damage for most of it as well, so it was quite tricky getting through the traffic. And yeah, the last few laps were quite tense, passing the guys on the one stop, but it seemed to be chaos behind me, so it all worked out.
Yeah, in the end, it was pretty close with the two stoppers and the one stoppers. You were getting, I think you were one of the last guys to get through the one stoppers. Was there any option to start on the harder compound tires, to start on the medium tires at the start of the race, as the medium to hard strat seemed to be quite good?
It's not something I was interested in doing, because I mean, I didn't think I'd qualify outside the top 10. Well, I hope I wouldn't. So, yeah, it was never really an option anyway. I kind of just went with what the strategy guys told me to do. So, it was always going to be a double hards, and start on the softs. So I didn't really think about strategy really.
Okay, and you are 8.3 seconds behind the leader at the end. How much do you think was the damage?
I don't know. I dark blue rear on the rear suspension, so it was quite tricky around the high speed corners. I was losing the rear a lot, so my tire wear was a lot more than usual as well. So yeah, I don't know. I lost time, but I think I won't take anything away from Tom winning today. Those guys were probably a league ahead anyway. I think P3 was probably the best I could do, so I'm pretty happy with it anyway. The long championship, so I know well that all these races will count in the end anyway. So yeah, I think P3 would have been the best result today anyway. So I'm happy.
And how do you rate your chances for Bahrain?
Yeah, good. I like Bahrain. I think I've done well there in the past. So it's a bit of a nicer circuit. I don't think Imola really suited my driving style. So yeah, I think focus is on Bahrain now, and hopefully you can do better.
Yep. Let's hope so. We always hope for a nice and clean fight at the front. So thank you for being here and have a nice day.
Yeah, thanks very much. Cheers.
So
Very nice. I think before we sorry, my brain's completely fried. I think before we go, Chris Butcher would like to say a word. Hi there, Chris. How are you?
Hi, Caitlin. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay, thanks. That was an awesome race, and I'm sure you feel absolutely fantastic about it.
I am absolutely pumped. What an incredible start to the season for us. We, a brand new team to Super League, and to come out with a win, and we'd have probably been right up there with Luke as well. Absolutely incredible. Couldn't be happier.
Aside from the obvious Tom Stevens, who would you like to thank for this?
Do you know what? I've got to thank the whole team, really. I mean, Toby on the engineering side, and Tom as well. Tom Ely's put a huge amount of work into the setup, and looking at Motec and all that sort of thing. Tom's a real. He doesn't get enough credit. He's a real crucial part of the team. In that regard, and just all of the lads. They've put the work in, and they've got the rewards for it. So yeah, thanks to all of them, really.
Indeed. Thank you for coming in and talking to us. Yeah, thank you very much. Take care. Congrats.
Thank you.
Okie dokie. Those are all the interviews we had time for there. Sorry for my issues and butting in randomly and all of that. You did an awesome job carrying the interviews there, Stephen. So yes, that is all we've got time for today. Thank you all for joining us for the very first round of Super League in 2023. It has been fantastic. Stephen, you did an awesome job. It was great to speak to you. Szymon as well. Thank you for covering the stream, and even when we had issues, you kept it going and you brought it back, and we couldn't have had this without you. Thank you as well to all of the GPVWC team who make these events possible, and who have provided us with this beautiful new car that has provided us with such an awesome race. And yes, make sure you join us back before long for some more GPVWC action. We'll be in action for Super League again before too long. That will be on March the 23rd. But before then, we also have Formula Sprint 2 on the 14th, and then Formula Sprint 1 on the 16th, and then of course the Super Lights on the 21st. Until then, we will see you later. Goodbye.